You may have walked past it on a bookshelf, or maybe someone once mentioned its name, and you paid no attention. But the Kybalion never appears by accident. This book finds the seeker, when the seeker is ready, and when that moment comes, it reveals something modern science is only beginning to understand. You don't live in a physical universe. You live inside a mind, and that mind responds to your vibration. The 7 laws that govern reality aren't symbolic. They are the operational codes of the universe. In this video, you'll discover why they were kept secret and how to use them to transform your life from the inside out. But be warned, at the end of this video, you'll receive the hidden code that separates those who merely read from those who awaken. How many times have you searched for answers in books and videos, only to find them shallow, empty, incomplete? As if the world is filled with information, but missing the map to understand yourself. Maybe you've heard of the Kybalion. Maybe you've even tried to read it. But if it didn't touch your soul, maybe you just weren't ready yet. This is not an ordinary book. It's a portal disguised as pages. Before we go deeper, if this topic has already stirred something inside you, like this video and subscribe to the channel. That way, you teach the algorithm of reality itself that you wish to see more content like this. Yes, even technology responds to your intention. And here, every click is a signal to the all. The Kybalion is known for choosing its readers. It only reveals itself when the mind vibrates at a frequency compatible with its truths. To read it unprepared is like staring into a fogged mirror. You'll see beautiful phrases, but you won't see yourself. But when the seeker is aligned, each sentence becomes an inner calling, a forgotten memory reawakened. That's because the Kybalion doesn't explain the outer world. It reorganizes your inner world. Each axiom, each law, works as a key that unlocks old mental patterns. You don't study the Kybalion. It studies you as you read it. It doesn't try to convince you. It simply reveals what you already knew but had forgotten. That's why so many ignore it, not from lack of intelligence, but from excess noise. We're bombarded by distractions, fears, urgency, and the Kybalion demands silence, presence, and readiness. It appears when the ego is tired of controlling, and the soul finally wants to remember. And when that happens, the entire universe begins to respond differently. You might imagine Hermes Trismegistus as a mythical figure, lost in the mists of the past. But to initiates, he was never merely a man. Hermes is a living archetype, the fusion of Egyptian wisdom and Greek reason, the priest and the philosopher. Tradition holds that he founded the first mystery school in ancient Egypt, but his teachings weren't explained, they were lived. In the school of Memphis, disciples didn't memorize texts. They learned through symbolic immersion, sacred geometry, vibrational sounds, and spiritual rituals. Knowledge was passed soul to soul, like a flame igniting without extinguishing. Hermes taught that the universe was a mind, and that symbols could reorganize consciousness. It was the birth of a knowledge that would shape future civilizations. So why isn't this wisdom in history books? Because it was veiled, hidden, protected for centuries. Not because it was false, but because it was dangerous in unprepared hands. To master the laws of the universe without spiritual maturity is like handing a sword to a child. That's why it was only given to those who passed inner and outer trials. Even when it reached Greece, Hermetic wisdom retained its initiatic character. Pythagoras, Plato, Plotinus, they all drank from this source. But the name of the original master was gradually erased, buried under myths and incomplete translations. What remained was an echo, until centuries later it was reborn in the form of a book. The Kybalion is that condensed, vibrational, symbolic rebirth. Hermes knew that ideas only hold power when they find fertile ground. That's why his teachings were shaped like riddles, not to hide, but to awaken. Each symbol, each law, each phrase activates the mind like an ancient code being deciphered from within. And this is why the true initiate is not the one who understands with logic, but the one who feels the calling between the lines and chooses to answer. Imagine handing a treasure map to someone driven by greed alone, or giving a powerful formula to someone consumed by anger. That's why the ancients chose to seal their deepest teachings. They knew that knowledge without consciousness leads to destruction, and that true wisdom should be protected until the seeker is truly ready. That's where the term hermetic comes from: closed, sealed, hidden, not out of spiritual elitism, but out of ancient wisdom. The mind must mature before it can operate the universal laws clearly. So they used symbols, myths, and metaphors as filters. Those who looked only with their eyes saw very little, but those who looked with the soul saw everything. Yet this protection came at a cost. Humanity paid dearly for its own forgetfulness. The destruction of the Library of Alexandria was more than a historical tragedy. It was the loss of a bridge between worlds, between the visible and the invisible. Thousands of scrolls were reduced to ashes, but the fire didn't extinguish the truth. Centuries later, something returned. As a vibrational echo of everything that had been lost, the Kybalion emerged. Published anonymously by the 3 initiates, the book doesn't try to teach, it activates. It doesn't over-explain, because each sentence is a key that only turns from the inside out. It's a coded text that resonates differently with every reader. Maybe that's why it finds you now. Maybe your consciousness has reached the point where words become portals. And what's most astonishing, when you read the Kybalion, it feels as though it's reading you. Each principle vibrates like a mirror reflecting your own mind. And if you feel that inner pull, it's because you're finally ready to go beyond theory. Now, an important revelation. The 7 laws that govern the universe are already active in your life, even if you've never heard of them. But there's a monumental difference between being controlled by them and learning to co-create with them. And if you feel it's time to live this knowledge with clarity, there's an initiatic guide with practical exercises waiting for you. Click the link in the pinned comment to access the ebook. The key to prosperity. Transform your financial life with the Hermetic Laws. Discover how to align your mind with the very laws that shape reality. Have you ever noticed how certain patterns seem to repeat in your life, even when you change cities, relationships, or careers? Or how some days flow effortlessly, while others feel like the universe is pushing against you? None of this is random, and more importantly, none of it is beyond your control. What the ancients called the Hermetic Laws, science is now beginning to confirm in laboratories. And the most surprising truth is, these 7 laws are already shaping your reality, right now, with or without your awareness. Mentalism, the all, is mind. Everything that exists is an expression of a universal mind. Physicist Amit Goswami argues that consciousness is not a product of the brain. It is the foundation of being. You don't live in a physical universe, you live inside a mind that responds to your vibration. Each thought collapses possibility into matter. In other words, your mind doesn't interpret reality, it creates it. Correspondence, as above, so below. Your external reality is a direct reflection of your inner world, as within, so without, as in the soul, so in the body. Cognitive psychology shows that unconscious beliefs shape behaviors, and thus, results. If you want to change the outside, you must first transform what's happening inside. Everything around you is a symbolic mirror of your current state of consciousness. Vibration. Nothing rests. Everything moves. Every emotion, thought, and word has a frequency. Quantum physics confirms that everything vibrates, including you. Joe Dispenza demonstrates that elevated emotional states like gratitude and love alter the heart's electromagnetic field, directly influencing reality. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you vibrate. Your frequency is your signature in the universe. Polarity. Everything is dual. Everything has poles. Love and hate are two ends of the same phenomenon. Joy and sadness exist on the same emotional spectrum. The secret lies in learning to shift between poles with awareness. Neuroscience proves that emotional regulation is a trainable skill. The initiate does not deny the shadow. He integrates it, and through that, finds balance. Rhythm. Everything flows in and out. Life has seasons, expansion and retreat, light and shadow. The law of rhythm reveals that life moves in waves. Resisting your internal winter only makes the cold last longer. Accepting the flow is mastering time with wisdom. Even brain waves follow rhythmic patterns, and honoring them is essential for mental clarity and spiritual balance. Cause and effect. Every cause has an effect. Every effect has a cause. Nothing happens by chance. Everything originates in a previous vibration. Epigenetics shows that emotions and habits influence gene expression. You are constantly planting causes through your thoughts, words, and choices. And what you call fate is often just the echo of your own unrecognized causes. Gender. Everything contains both masculine and feminine principles. Conscious creation is born from balancing logic and intuition, action and receptivity. Carl Jung called this anima and animus, the masculine and feminine within each being. In the universe, gender is the principle of generation, of manifestation. When you harmonize these two forces within yourself, you become a living channel for creation. Wisdom lies not in excess logic or emotion, but in the union of both. Now do you see? These laws are not philosophical concepts. They are the operational mechanics of the universe. You can continue being unconsciously shaped by them, or you can learn to co-create with them. And when you do that consciously, what once felt like chaos becomes a code. What was once suffering becomes wisdom. And what seemed random becomes a deliberate miracle. You've probably met someone who's read all the spiritual books, but still reacts with anger, fear, or judgment. Knowing the laws is not the same as living by them. A true initiate is not defined by what they know, but by how they respond to life. They don't try to control the outer world. They decode the symbols behind what happens. And with every challenge, they ask, what part of me is being called to evolve right now? Spiritual life is not linear. It moves in spirals. Sometimes you return to the same places, face the same wounds. But that's not regression. It's revisitation with new consciousness. The soul returns to points of pain not to suffer again, but to heal more deeply. Each return is higher, more lucid, more liberating. Expecting life to be stable is to deny the very nature of the universe. The initiate learns to flow with rhythm, integrate the poles, observe the cause. They know that purpose isn't a final destination. It's a living path, constantly being reshaped. With each new phase of life, a new mission is born, and they walk it, not because they have all the answers, but because they've learned to trust the silence between the questions. Being an initiate isn't about having superpowers. It's about presence. It's the ability to pause in the midst of chaos and remember, I am mind. I am vibration. I am cause. It's reading life like a sacred text, knowing that everything is language from the all. Even pain carries messages. Nothing is random. Everything is instruction for the one who knows how to read it. At that level, reality shifts, not because external circumstances disappear, but because your way of seeing transforms. And when you change your perception, You change the universe you observe. The initiate doesn't run from reality. They transform it from the inside out. And that's why the Kybalion only finds those who are ready. Not ready to understand, but ready to become. The Kybalion is not just a book. It is a mirror. It doesn't want you to understand it. It wants you to remember. Mind is the origin of everything. The world is not solid. It is symbolic. And when you shift your vibration, you shift the language the universe uses to speak to you. The 7 laws aren't metaphors. They are the invisible gears of reality. You've seen how the law of mentalism shows that mind shapes matter, how correspondence reflects your inner world in the mirror of life, how vibration determines what you attract. Polarity reveals that light and shadow come from the same source. Rhythm explains the tides of existence. Cause and effect shows that fate is an echo. And gender reminds us that creation is born from the balance within. You don't need to master everything at once. Initiation begins with a single conscious step: to observe yourself with clarity, choose with presence, and vibrate with intention. The initiate doesn't live apart from the world. They live in alignment with the laws that govern it. And when that inner alchemy happens, reality bends. So, let me ask you, do you want to keep trying to control the world with your hands? Or are you ready to shape it with the power of your mind? The universe doesn't respond to your wishes. It responds to your vibration. So leave a comment below. I am the mind that creates my world. That will be your seal phrase, your symbolic signal to the all. And if you felt the call to live the Hermetic Laws in a practical and transformative way, the ebook, The Key to Prosperity, Transform Your Financial Life with the Hermetic Laws. It's an initiatic guide with exercises to help you apply each principle in daily life. But be warned, this key is not for collecting, it's for using, and it only works for those bold enough to turn the lock. The link is in the pinned comment. Finally, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and share it with other seekers who are ready to awaken. And if you want to understand why Hermes had to disappear from history, watch the video linked on screen. The True Origins of Thoth. Every seeker must hear this. Because only when you know the origin of the master can you grasp the power of the teaching. See you on the next step of consciousness.